Alright guys, welcome to my fourth Pet Answers Weekly. Been a little bit less than every week, I'll try to do them quicker. But let's just jump into it. They're usually fairly long videos because I have a lot of questions to go through. How I do these is, if you're new to these videos, all you gotta do is leave a comment in this video, and next week I will answer your comment, most likely. I pick about, 60 to 80% of the comments to answer. So next week you'll have a chance at getting your question answered on camera here. So let's go ahead. These are the questions from last week's videos. And we have Recon9143 says, do you use Power Director to edit your videos? And I've used Magic's Movie Edit Pro for years now, maybe 7 years. Gone through many versions of it. It's a not super expensive video editor. Usually they're around 20 to 60 bucks depending on the version you get. And they do everything that I've needed. You can do tons more than you see in my videos. I really don't add that much special effects. But pretty good video editor. I know a few people that use it, so check out Magic's Movie Edit Pro. You can find it on Amazon or just Google it. Can ferrets eat raw or cooked meat? The Big Foot Boy 3 asked that. And ferrets can eat raw or cooked meat. They could eat either, actually. Lots of people like to put their dogs, ferrets, cats on a raw diet. Cooked meat's fine for them too. So, simple answer to that is yeah, you can feed them raw or cooked meat. Pretty much any type of meat's fine. Don't give them anything from like fast food or from a restaurant with lots of seasoning. If you want to feed them meat, just give them plain meat. No seasoning is needed. Cook it up or feed it to them raw, it should be just fine. Enders DJ says, now I got a sugar glider and I'm getting ready to go on vacation. What should I do? I know they need to be bonded with you. Sugar gliders are a type of pet that it's usually best to have more than one. If you only have one, then they're going to bond mostly with just the human and you're going to want to take them out a lot. If you're going on vacation, sugar gliders do have specific foods, but you might be okay to leave them alone for a day or two in a cage. If it's going to be any longer than a day or two, you'd probably want to have someone come and check on them, make sure they're getting the right food. So it's kind of like, you can go for a while, but you probably should have someone come check on them. They're not a pet that you can really leave alone for an extended period of time. Barney Games asks, how do I make my Russian tortoise get used to me? By the way, awesome videos. Thank you. And for Russian tortoises, as with any pet, tortoises and reptiles aren't as bonding as some other types of pets, but many of them will get used to you and let you handle them. Some Russian tortoises actually do get very used to their owners and will follow them around and such. Basically, it's just time. Take them out of the cage every day, feed them treats when they're out of the cage, and over time, should get more and more used to you, and it's basically all you can do. It's time and patience with most pets there. Federalismo, if I said that right, asked, I've had my bearded dragon for just 2 years and he is around 14 inches. Should I be concerned? As long as he's eating and looks healthy, he's not lethargic, don't worry too much about the size as long as he doesn't look skinny and you're feeding him properly. At 2 years you should be feeding salads or salad greens, vegetables, let's say 4 or 5 days a week, and then insects just once or twice a week. He's starting to get to the age where he'll eat mostly vegetables, but I think the size of him is fine. He might be a little small, but as long as he's eating and active, he's fine, I'm sure. Alright, Pastel Sliders asks, what kind of fish would you recommend for my baby turtle tank? Not for the turtle to eat. I have a Placo and it doesn't bother Placo. And then he asked, do you have any plans on getting more turtles? I've got 3 turtles right now in 2 separate tanks. Not really planning to get any more right now. As for what kind of fish, that's hard. Turtles will eat or peck at the fins of almost all types of fish. The times I've seen turtles and fish do well is when there's a huge tank and you have big fish like koi or big Oscars. They'll sometimes do alright. But pretty much if you put a fish in a turtle tank, there's a very good chance it's going to get bitten. So I'd really recommend not putting fish in there. The Placo is probably fine. They sit on the side. They don't, they might be fine for a while, but I wouldn't really recommend many types of fish, especially in an indoor fish tank. If you had a big outdoor pond with turtles, then you could put some kois or something in there. Bethany Freer asked, do you prefer a ferret or a rabbit? Lots of times people ask me, what pet do you prefer? Or do you like this pet more than this pet? It's hard to answer because every pet's different. A ferret and a rabbit act very different. So it depends what you want personally. They're so different, you got to decide for yourself which might be best for you. If I was to pick one, I'd probably pick a ferret, but everyone's different. Someone else might pick a rabbit, so think about what you might want most. Dog Soldier asks, how do you get hedgehogs to get calm around dogs and cats? Is it possible? I think it'll take time. It's maybe possible. My hedgehogs are very nice. I can handle them. But you put a cat or a dog around them and they do curl up. It's their natural defense. They see a larger animal and they're going to curl up. So maybe over time, if your cat or dog is super nice, and maybe over time they won't be as scared, but instinctually it's going to curl up when it sees a larger predator around. So it's pretty hard to get them very calm around cats and dogs. Matthew Miller asked, I have a question on almost all of these videos and you've answered them all. Thank you so much. So here it is. I want a Crested Gecko, just looking for basic info. Well, this would take me a while to say everything. I do have a video on Crested Gecko care, a couple of them kind of on Crested Geckos. But basically for Crested Geckos you want a planted tank with fake or real plants. They like to climb and be hidden in foliage. You want a tall tank. You can get a 20-gallon tank and you can even set it up on its side. It's nice so they can climb up and down a lot. Food, there's this liquid, hold on, I got this air blower outside. It should go by pretty quick. Food, there's these like liquid, they're actually powder, but you put some water in them. And it's like a fruit kind of thing you make. They'll also eat some crickets and such. But go ahead and check some videos. This would be another video I should make separately because it could be a long video all in its own to describe how to care for them. But I do have a couple videos on it, check that out, and if you have any specific questions, leave me another one, and I'll try to get to it next week. Iron Platypus asks, I know you're probably tired of my constant questions, but do you do large reptiles? I want a BTS, but I can't really find any trustable source on them, except this cool reptile store, whose owner seems to be tired of my constant questions. So do you know anything about blue tongues? Sorry, I really don't. I've never had a blue-tongued skink. Some skinks I've looked at in the past, and I've looked up some information, but I really don't have anything I can contribute right now. You just got to research a lot like I would, but I don't know too much to tell you, so sorry about that. Lazy Creations, where is the best place to keep a hedgehog cage? Mine I have in my pet room, which is a fairly quiet room. My birds make some noise in there. But basically a quiet area of the house. They don't like to be snuck up on and have loud noises and such. So right by a front door or something probably wouldn't be good. They don't want to have all that commotion going on. Put them in a column room of the house. Wherever there's a column room, not like a basement that might get super cold. But just somewhere in your house that's calm. That's doesn't have tons of traffic going through it. Bedroom's fine. They don't make too much noise at night, but some people might be annoyed by the wheel when they're running. Nemo Hose says, I went fishing last week and caught a baby channel catfish, so I decided to bring it home and put it in an outdoor pond. Now the question is, what do I feed it? First thing is, don't bring home wild animals as pets. If you want a pet, buy a captive bred pet. So catfish, they're bottom eaters. They'll eat lots of things, but you shouldn't bring home a wild animal as a pet. I know it's just a fish. It's not as bad as some other things. But you can go and get algae wafers, or it'll eat some types of fish food, and they're bottom eaters. Look up online what a catfish eats. But yeah, I can't really recommend too much. You shouldn't be bringing home animals from outside to keep as pets. Should have just ate that catfish. Would have been a better choice. Matthew and Steven, how do you make a fish tank smell better without the fish smell? Alright, so if you got a fishy smell, or some people say this about turtle tanks, none of my tanks smell. I can't smell them at all. So if you got a fishy smell or a turtle tank that smells, it's usually a problem with the filtration. You might not have enough. You might not be doing water changes enough, and your water quality is not very good. So basically, if you got a smelly tank, get better filtration. Look up some videos on biofiltration. I have a few myself. And make sure your tank is cycled and working correctly, and it shouldn't smell. If your tank is cycled and you got the proper biological system going on in there, it shouldn't smell. So I would upgrade your filter and make sure to do 25% water changes at least once a month. Azurg, hello Earthling, any ideas on how to help enrich my 13-year-old female cat's daily life? She's been howling, and this is a long message, I've read it before. Says she otherwise acts well, she eats well, but she's been howling and stuff. You know, May is my first cat. I've only had her for 3 or so, maybe 3 or 4 years now. I've never experienced this. I've never heard of it when I worked at a vet office, but it seems like, you know, she's got something going on where she wants to howl and get outside or something. I would just say interact with her more, maybe buy some more toys, try to keep her entertained, but I'm not sure why she's howling just randomly. It's kind of weird. I don't know the exact answer to that, but try to get some new toys, try to interact with her more, and you know, if it keeps going on, next time you go to the vet, you can just ask your vet, like, what does this maybe mean? Because I've never really heard that, and I worked at a vet office, and I never really heard about cats just randomly yelling for nothing. So keep an eye on that. There might be some underlying problem, but it's probably nothing. Yeah, get some more toys, try to interact more, and see if maybe she's just bored. Alex Collins, thanks for your help. Do you know if there's any way to keep a ferret from having a musky smell to them? It's really not. In America, most ferrets are descented and desexed and everything before you buy them, so they're going to be less smelly than ones that aren't desexed. But there's really no way to completely get rid of them. You don't want to bathe them too much. That's one thing that owners sometimes do wrong, is they try to overbathe them to get rid of the smell. But when you strip their skin of the natural oils too much and it becomes dry, then their body reacts by producing more of those oils to compensate, and they'll actually be more smelly. So a bath once a month is really all that's needed, and it's really not a lot you can do about it. But don't overbathe, it'll actually make it worse. The Storm Runners asks, I have to move my saltwater fish and corals when I come home from college. Any ideas how to keep them alive? It's a 2-hour drive. Well, fish and corals can be shipped, and they can live overnight. They can live even 2 nights. You know, fish stores get their products shipped to them, their corals, their fish, everything. So you could bag them up, or you could try maybe, I don't know how high the corals are in your tank. You might be able to just lower the tank to a, you know, you didn't tell me how big your tank is either, but you might be able to lower it to a level where it's carryable, either with 1 or 2 people, where you still are covering everything with water, all the corals with water. You might be able to just do that. They'll be okay for 2 hours. Just keep your, you know, try to keep your car around 75 or so. I know it's probably hotter than that in your fish tank, but try to keep the temperature about equal as you're driving. They should be fine. If you have to bag some up, put them in bags. And what's also important is make sure your filters aren't dried out. You want to keep your bacteria in your filters, so don't let your filters dry out. And when you get to your new house, you know, have something prepared. Maybe, you know, have some water prepared. You're going to have to refill that tank, and you don't want to kill off everything when you refill that tank. So you might want to have some water prepared, or you might want to, when you empty your tank, use a 5-gallon jug or 2 and save some of that water, but then it's easier to carry because it's not all in the tank. But I'd say empty the water or bag up the stuff, and it's going to be a lot of work, bagging and then unbagging, but it's pretty much your only option if you want to get them all there. Turtle bites. How big will my musk turtle get? They're about 9 months old. Most species of musk turtles, the males will get up to 6-7 inches. The females will get bigger. Most turtle species are like this. The females will get, you know, 9-10 inches, sometimes a little bigger, but not always much bigger than that. But if you have males, usually around 6-7 inches tops. Jimbo asks, I bought a hamster recently, and prior to that I had done a lot of research on dwarf hamsters living together. For future reference, can you comment on keeping multiple dwarf hamsters together, such as robo hamsters? Lots of people think of hamsters as little cuddly cute things, and they are, but they still can be territorial, especially if you have 2 males. If you have a male and a female, you're usually okay for a while, although if they have babies, sometimes the babies will get eaten, or sometimes there'll be some problems. Then you should take the male out if there's ever babies. But if you put 2 males together, I've seen it happen before with some friends. Actually, when I was like in 6th grade, I had some of these hamsters, and one of them killed the other one and like ate half of it. So it's really hard to know if the 2 males you have or the 2 that you have are going to get along, or if they're going to get territorial or fight. The only tip is the bigger the cage, the better. The more space they have, the less they're going to be territorial, because they'll both have their own areas. So if you have a huge cage, then more in there will be okay. But let's say a 10-gallon tank, putting 2 in a 10-gallon tank, there's a good chance that over time one might become territorial. So the only tip really is bigger tank, but I'd really recommend just keeping them separate. Alright, Hazardous Acid asks, my sister has Down syndrome and autism. Should I purchase a hedgehog? I'm really considering it, and I'm prepared for tons of dedication. Hedgehogs, I like them. They're great pets. I'm not going to say they're bad for this situation, but at the same time, they're not like cuddly little pets that you can hold and snuggle with at all. I mean, they're spiky. So they are awesome pets, and they're cool, but if you're looking for a pet for your sister that she could hold and kind of snuggle with, there's probably better options out there. I know we talked earlier about bunnies. Bunnies can be really nice, and they'll just sit there and let you pet them sometimes, and then, you know, you can put them back in the cage. But they're nice and fluffy. They might be more fun for her to hold. You know, the hedgehog's okay, but like I said, it's just spiky. I don't know how some people are scared to hold it to begin with, and then with her conditions, she might like it, she might not. So you got to decide based on what you know your sister. I don't. But if she wants a cuddly pet that she can hold very much, you might look for something else. Army of Darkness asks, can I tame turtles, like put them out of the tank and let them run around? I've heard a lot of people saying this is not possible because they get sick and they don't like it, but I know people do this. Turtles come out of the water all the time in nature. They go up on the land to bask, they go up on rocks to bask. They're actually supposed to be able to get 100% dry. You need a 100% dry basking area in your tank so they can dry out. Otherwise, they can actually get mold and fungus growing in their skin and under their shell. So taking them out of the cage is nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't say take them out for 8 hours. You know, take them out for an hour or two. That should be no problem. They don't really tame. I don't see aquatic turtles taming all that much. Tortoises are a little bit easier to tame than aquatic turtles, but you can take them out, see what happens. You know, take them out for an hour a day and just see how it goes. Every turtle's different, so you might get one that wants to interact with a human more than a different one. But yeah, they're not going to get sick because you take them out of the cage. All you're doing is basically taking them out like they would bask, so it's not going to hurt them. But again, I wouldn't do it all day, maybe for like an hour. And our last question, Christopher Reed asks, how can I stop my cats from scratching everything in the house without declawing them? And that's something I've gone through myself. My cat scratched up a couple things in my house when I first had her, and basically all I've done is yell at her if I see her doing something, kind of like a dog. You see a dog pissing on the wall, you yell at it. And with my cat, maybe she's learned, because I have a dog, that I yell no, and I yell no a lot to my dog, so maybe she's learned that no means stop. But basically, anytime I see her doing something, scratching or biting on something I don't want, I'll just basically yell at her no. And it seems to work. It's not 100%. Every once in a while it'll happen, but it's not like it used to happen a couple of years when I first got her. So basically, you know, show them you don't like it. Yell at them. Even stand up and kind of run at them, charge at them, be like, hey, stop that. You know, you don't have to do anything physical, don't hit them or anything, but if you just show that you don't like it by yelling and kind of rushing at them, they'll usually get the hint over time. So that was all the questions I had copied down for today's video. Have a question that you want answered on camera, leave it in the comments below here, and I'll get to it in the next video, hopefully. Anyways, happy pet keeping, and we'll see y'all later.